Hello, everyone. My name is Jill Schaeffer. I am an electrophysiology nurse practitioner at Penn Medicine at Lancaster General Health. I am part of the Heart Rhythm Society and I work with the Patient Education Committee. And it's delightful for me today to introduce Joe Dolan. We're going to have a conversation today about his experience with arrhythmia, specifically supraventricular tachycardia or SVT. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Jill, and it is a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
Can you tell the viewers what your experience is and who you are?
Yes, my name is Joe Dolan. I am in St. Louis, Missouri, and I am a patient and have been for a number of years. Dealing with supraventricular tachycardia has been at the top of my mind for the last couple of years because it's as we were talking earlier, it's a bit of a frightening experience when you get the onslaught of just a rapid heart rate and a rapid heartbeat, and you don't quite know what to do about it. And so, as a result of dealing with this issue, I've learned a lot to look online, talk to other patients, learn about treatments, learning about medications that could help deal with this. An experience I had about 2 years ago was the when this comes on, it's so different than any other thing I've ever felt before. Where my heart rate at resting is about 55 to 60 beats per minute, and when a bout of SVT hits, it can raise it to 265, 275, and it's just an overwhelming feeling. So the first time it happened, I was fortunately, near a urgent care. So when I went in, it was very, very difficult to even walk in the door. And when I ended up going in, they were trying to do an EKG. They ended up calling 911, and the paramedics came and got me, and then had to give me adenosine to stop my heart. And the first time around, it's just amazing how it happened so fast, and the paramedics arrived very quickly, administered the drug, and I went right back into sinus rhythm. And at that point, you're just wondering, when's the other shoe going to drop? Is this going to happen again tomorrow? Is it going to happen next week? Did I have too much caffeine? Did I not do this? Did I not do that? And you're going through all these questions in your mind of, how do I prevent it? What could I do better? How could I do whatever I need to do to avoid this from happening? And the short answer to the question is, I do everything the right way: right diet, right exercise, right everything. And I don't think there's a rhyme or reason to these episodes and when they occur. But what I have learned through organizations such as this, to learn and find out all you can of what's trending, what is happening in the world of SVT, and how I can learn to live with this and just feel a little bit more secure and safe.
Tell the viewers a little bit about what treatment options you've gone through. Now, certainly that was the rescue treatment when they administered adenosine, which is designed to break the racing. But that's kind of an emergency treatment. Tell us a little bit more about your journey for everyday management to try to keep this under control.
So what I've done is I've had 3 ablations in the past and have managed that pretty well. I have learned recently that there are some new game-changing drugs that are on the market, and I am so relieved to have found a drug called Cardamist. And Cardamist is out there for people like me, and I can carry it in my pocket. And so when I'm out hiking or whatever, so I was in the Grand Canyon in March of this year, and I packed it in my suitcase, and I was able to have have it in my pocket just in case that there would be an episode. And just having that security blanket with me uh, made me feel so comfortable because, when you're in the Grand Canyon and you're out there hiking,
Yeah.
um, you know, the paramedics aren't going to get there very easily out there on the trail. But just knowing that you have it with you in the case of that is needed. So for me, that has been a game changer in my life. It's almost like, as I explain to people, they ask me what that means. And I said, it's like an EpiPen that you have for your kids. Should they need it, you've got your CARDAMYST right there. So learning about the right drug, the right fit, the right everything for each patient, I think is hugely important. But being informed of what was out there and the breakthroughs that they have made has greatly helped me for not only physically but mentally as well, knowing that I'm prepared to deal with it if and when the case would be that it would happen.
I'm interested. There's different types of SVT. Do you know the type or the name of your particular type of supraventricular tachycardia?
I do, but it escapes me right now, and I should know that, but I don't. But I can certainly find out.
Okay, okay. And how was your ablation experience? Tell us about that a little bit.
The ablations were done when it was still not as streamlined as they are today. I had my
Okay.
first one in 1998.
Okay.
So, and they were much longer and a very
Mhm.
arduous, procedure, unlike they are today. It took 3 tries for me to have success, and they weren't kidding when they say the third time's a charm, because it took. Now I have breakthrough every now and then where
Mhm.
I'll go into arrhythmia, but for the most part, I find it very manageable. I find that I can still lead my life and do all the things that I like to do, and it does not hold me back or prevent me from I'm a runner and a cyclist, so I can still do those activities and go to the gym and not feel uh, the least bit threatened or uh, hesitant to go and do my workouts.
Great, great. I find that patients worry about that, wondering if normal exercise raises the heart rate, if that puts you at risk for triggering an arrhythmia. And it
Right.
sounds like, for your case, that's not true, which is common in an SVT. It's usually not something a patient induced, unknowingly. I'm interested, when was your last ablation? The third one. The third one's the charm.
Was 2004.
Okay. Okay. All right. And you mentioned looking online. What kind of resources were you able to look at online, or have you done that recently? I mean, obviously, information has exploded in our world with we all carry those little boxes around that can tell us anything we want to know. What did you find most helpful to get you ready to speak to your physicians and caregivers about the disorder? Do you recall what you found most helpful?
Yeah, it's funny. It's I coincidentally, the Heart Rhythm Society for sure has been a source. The Cardiometabolic Leadership Academy has been
Mhm.
one. Uh, Stop AFib has been
Mhm.
one. Each of those organizations then lead you to the next. And once you start looking and reading and just gathering information, it's so interesting how they'll say, well, maybe there've been an article published, and then you go back and you read about that particular physician and that particular clinic, and then you go back to the clinics and you see what they do and how they do it and what their procedures and protocols are. So it's I have found through those organizations uh, just a huge help and very, very lots of good information. And it's funny you asked me that question, Jill, because when I go to my annual checkup with my electrophysiologist, that's what we talk about.
Okay.
They're more like meeting. I don't even call them appointments anymore, because what they have become is sitting down like this and spending 15 minutes or 20 minutes talking about what's the new trend, what are you hearing about this, what kind of trials are out there, and together we have partnered through my case, and because I need to take ownership and responsibility too. If an informed patient is a good patient, and when you go into your scheduled appointment, I like to be prepared with my notes and then the articles I've read, the sites that I've looked at, and we compare. And it's been such a great journey, because I've had this guy for 20 years,
Yes,
and
becomes an important relationship, doesn't it?
it is, Jill. It's huge, and he knows me. He knows what's going on. Um, we actually have run and cycled together, because he's of the same kind of mindset as me, which is kind of a bonus to have that time. But
Mhm.
um, but learning and understanding and being informed, I think it's so important as a patient, because it just creates peace of mind, and it doesn't become the forefront of worry.
Right, right. I'm excited to tell you that the Heart Rhythm Society has recently updated our patient education website, UpBeat, and we're excited that it's moving forward in a little bit more user-friendly fashion, and the search engines, much better. And we're doing things like this, where rather than it's just reading online, we have some videos, because we know all our patients learn through different ways, and we're just trying to increase content that comes from the heart rhythm community, so that people can get it from the expert opinions. So
Sure.
thank you for helping us contribute to that. So what I hear you saying, we often, you believe that, and as I do, that being an informed patient is a good patient. What would you like the clinicians out there to better understand about the patient experience as we wrap up?
Well, one of the things is, if they could understand the lifestyle of the patient.
Hmm.
um, a lot of times, you think to yourself, okay, what could I do better? And as you alluded to before, you really can't do anything to prevent an SVT occurrence. But I think that part of my success has been um, being compliant when it comes to diet, exercise,
Hmm.
movement, uh, just lifestyle in general. And I think sometimes a word of encouragement to the patient from the clinician, especially if there's something holding back that patient from doing these things, that because again, a body in motion stays in motion, and you feel so much better when you are able to do, and to eliminate that fear is an underlying uh, thing that I think is very important, and for peace of mind for that patient, that you could determine what's holding them back and identify that maybe, and have a
Hmm.
discussion about that, because again, the movement part is so good for you anyway.
Right.
And the features and benefits, we could go on for forever, but I think that would be a very important topic to discuss.
You mentioned it also, that I think it's important for clinicians to have a conversation with patients on what is the rescue plan. If rhythms come back and they can drop, like you said, whenever the shoe drops, and I also find my patients worry about that. Is this going to
Yeah.
happen in the middle of my son's wedding or something like that? And that's
Yeah.
pretty real concern and fear. And I think it's very helpful to have, well, here's our game plan. If it happens, we can use medications like you talked about, putting it in your suitcase, and then, what's step one, what's step two, what's step three, so that we can get better control. So this isn't a day-to-day worry for you.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Well, thank you so much for participating in our conversations today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jill. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here, and just, again, supporting the patient and helping them to be informed um, just makes it better for everybody.
Thank you.